Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. We got a little bit of a different project than normal. We're gonna be remodeling this old shed here. It has some storm damage. The storm has been doing some pretty big damage to the roof. This is actually an aluminum roof, so it's not the strongest out there, but it's never gonna rust. So that's why people used it. This was an old pig building, and it's gonna be a future like storage building, and this is actually my parents' building. I don't think I'm working pro bono. I hope I get paid for this minimally. Something. Greg, you're not getting paid for this one, okay?
Can I get some likes?
I'm joking. We're going to get paid. It's an insurance job, so that's always nice. We're going to be replacing all the steel on this. We've got some framing to repair. We're going to be changing the sliding doors to overhead door. We're going to add a couple windows, put in a new walk door. If you guys are interested in that, make sure you stick around throughout the video. I don't know how many videos this is going to take, so let's get to it. I don't think these are going to come out too bad, Greg.
I hope not. Good
Lord, I hope not. Oh yeah. But on a scale of 1 to suck, this ain't that bad. We've had some worse ones where like
the head top off.
Yeah. Take it close as you can underneath there. Ride it, dude. Ride it.
Okay, let me set it up for that.
How high can you get, man? It's a full body workout. This is a trick from Greg here. Is just once you've done a couple. Well, that one came out, no big deal. These are all ring shanks, so the problem is the fiber is stuck in those ring shanks. So sometimes you just have to twist the nail, and it kind of breaks those fibers free that are holding on. Other times you just have to pull a lot because the goal is to try to keep this steel, you know, it's a good patinaed steel that a lot of people will pay pretty good money for. As you can see, we got all these walls tore off. We've got a lot of cleanup to do. We're gonna have to do a little bit of framing, and we definitely gotta get that roof metal off. However, it's really windy out here. We're just out in the middle of Farm USA, so there's nothing to stop the wind, and I don't wanna risk any sort of injury or anything with that steel flapping around. So we'll be back tomorrow. That's probably not bad. I got 5. Oh, actually, that's not bad at all.
YouTube, what's up?
Question for my YouTube. Did Greg keep the stash or lose the stash? Well, the demo continues here on the roof. This is an aluminum panel, so it's pretty darn lightweight, and they're aluminum nails, so you gotta be careful with them, otherwise the heads break, and then it's just another pain to have to nail everything into the board or pull them out without a head. So these pullers do work pretty darn good to do that. Our goal is gonna be to get this side of roof off, get it prepped for steel on this side. That way we don't take off both sides and have the whole building just kind of freestanding, because we know there's not much structure in a building without steel on it. We got some soffit work to do, some facial work to do, and once we get the steel off, that's what we're gonna work on. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. That wasn't too bad. Probably should get all these nails pounded, pull that bottom row purlin, get tails and fascia, and let's go. Oh, look at that beauty. Good Lord. We're gonna start on this end Hopefully that stuff rolls downhill. Whew. You guys see that? That is gross. Oh, some of that crap made it in the lift. The way that this fascia was set up, it had like a 1x10. We don't want that. We want to use a 2x6. And the reason is mainly so that when our side fascia and our end fascia meet, we don't have this weird detail that we got to do this bird box. I don't like a bird box soffit end. We're going to tear all this off. We're going to add a tail like we normally do so that we can have a nice 2x6 fascia all the way around. So you see what we're doing here is we're adding a tail top. So this is going to plane in with these purlins, but what it's going to do is give us a spot for a fascia. So we'll be able to fasten fascia in. You know, I would normally say, guys, the building is not moving. It's the camera in the lift. But today, the building very well could be moving. This thing is very loose. I mean, I can move it pretty easily. I just feel like that needs to be said, that it very well could be the building moving. But don't worry, we'll get her all squared away and bring her back. So the nice thing about remodels is we're not really gonna worry about dimensions here. We're not gonna cut the board to an exact dimension. We're gonna literally eyeball it, and then I'm gonna cut the ends exactly where they have to be. So you guys are probably wondering, wait, Kyle, I thought you were gonna use a 2x6. Well, that wasn't gonna work, and I'll tell you why. Because when I measured my side steel, I didn't take into account a 2x6 fascia. So we were gonna be about an inch shy of where we wanted to be. Now, we're just gonna go ahead and wrap a 2x8 fascia around the whole thing, and I think it's gonna be just fine. Nice thing is the tails of these trusses are pretty solid still. Like, everything grabbed really nice. And what Greg's doing up there is adding some framing to the end because we're a little shy. So we've just got some 20-inch blocks that are going out, and he's nailing them to the purlin. And then he's also driving a 60 into the truss, making sure that there's a good hold down out there on the end, because that's where the wind uplift is gonna be the worst. Stay safe, stay frosty, man. Somebody said on Instagram, ooh, that's gonna be a hard building to make look good. Watch me.
Hey.
So I'm just gonna come through and screw them together, and then I'll drill and pound a 60 penny in as well. So we'll get new holding power and a nice clean purlin to screw our steel into. And we're just gonna do this where we kind of need to, not every single one. I'm pretty happy with the way this all turned out though. The fascia, and it's nice and solid. This is a big part of a good solid roof, you know, is a good fascia.
Right, yeah.
The field cannot be as important, is not as important. So what we've got to do now is go around and basically frame in all the openings. Like, this was a door, the concrete is ran through, and now we're gonna put down some fresh green treat wherever it's gonna touch the concrete so that we can start running our steel. We've also got 2 windows to frame in on this side. Since this building has been getting hit by wind, the hole was in the roof, allowing wind to get in and circulate. What I'm noticing is that there's some of these wall girts are moved away from the post. So I'm going through and I'm gonna pound some new ring shank nails, like this one right here. It's definitely separated. Now, one thing with an older building that you always got to think about is you didn't build it. So throw all the perfection, dimensions, the accuracy, all those, you know, ideas about what it should be out the window and assume the worst. We're not going to be able to change the structure, the size, or any of those things, but before we put our steel back on, we are going to check and make sure that the dimensions will work with our steel. It's 38 3/4, which 39 would be an exact footage, so 38.3 is a rib, which means we'll be 6 inches. If we start with a fresh rib on the corner, we'll be 6 inches back, roughly. So 9'6", 3/16. Now what's 38 minus 9 is 29. 27.6 is the center of a rib, which means 28.3. So I gotta go 28.3 and 9/16 center. Boom, dude.
Got it?
I think so, but you know what? We all make mistakes, so don't hold me to it, okay? Now what I need to do is I'm gonna check my end posts to see what they look like. How close do you think they are, Greg? I bet they're not that bad. Ho, 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 buddy. I mean, 1/2 inch in my level. Now it's important to make sure your wall's plumb before you go, you know, start framing in windows, because you don't want to frame them out of plumb. All right, so look over there. We've got a window already framed in. Now that one was pretty easy. This one's a little bit unique because we're using the old framing. So this girt right here is going to become our header. So when I put my level here, it shows that this side is about 3/8 of an inch higher than this side. So what I'm going to do in this instance is I'm still going to use it, but I don't want to frame exactly to it. So what I'm going to do is, since this side is lower, I can always have a bigger window box than the window itself. The gap around it can be a little bit bigger than you want it, but you can't have it smaller. So what we'll do is we'll go to this point. I'm gonna mark my 36 inches because that's the size that my box is gonna be. And then I'm gonna take this bottom board. Okay, this is gonna act as my bottom header, I guess. And what I'm gonna do is screw this side in on that mark, kind of put it roughly about where I think it's gonna be. And then we're gonna make sure that we level this exactly. And that's because you, most likely when you set your window in, I'm gonna set it off of a set of shims on the bottom, not the top. The top can be kind of a little bit off. It's not gonna be a big deal. If it's a finished building, you're gonna spray foam it, you're gonna put trim in there, you're never gonna see it. But you wanna set the window as level as possible. So now we're just gonna make sure that this is level, tack it in, and now that is what we will set our window off of. We've already marked the center, so I'm gonna get the center right up here. And then what I'm gonna do is mark 2 foot each way. So I'm just setting my tape measure at 36 inches. I'll mark 1 foot, and then I'm gonna mark 1.5 inches past that. We'll do the same this way. So I'll mark 5 foot, and then 1.5. And if that doesn't make sense yet, I will share with you why I do that here in a minute. So the first thing we need to do is put our backer board in. That is gonna go to the 1.5 inch line past my actual window box. Now the reason I'm offsetting this 1.5 inches from the actual window is so that in the future, if somebody wants to insulate this building, they can build a window box and frame it in on the inside edge of these 2 backer boards and achieve the same result as if we were doing it today as an insulated package. But this is not an insulated package. This is my parents' building. They have no use for insulation here. That's not the goal. So now we're ready to cut this gird out, and we're gonna put our window face frame on. All right, so it looks super simple because it really is. This is not needed to be, you know, some crazy framing. So if we were gonna be insulating, we would have a box, a jam extension, 2x6 box that goes around this entire perimeter. And that's what the window would sit in. You would foam it and whatever. But this being a non-insulated building, this is the face frame needed. It's plenty secure. We'll be able to mount the window and then steel right around it, having plenty of room to mount all of our trims that we need and to get the waterproofing that we need. So while I was working on the windows, Greg was getting this garage door framed in. So this was a sliding door. You'll notice the track up there. We still need to remove that. But now we're framing in for an overhead door. Overheads are just better. And we got this nice concrete threshold. It just makes perfect sense. So what we're gonna do is Greg ripped down these jam boards. That way they're an exact dimension that we need. And we've got a 2x12 header to put on the backside, and that's because we need a place to mount our springs. We got to drop it lower than our truss because the door, it needs about 10.5 inches at the smallest to turn and go underneath the truss back there behind it. So minimum 2x12 is what we do, gives us 11.25, a little bit extra room for the door guy, and we'll be all good there. Crown on this. Oh wow, that looks pretty good that way. All right, another day. I got to get out of here. Leave early today because track meet, so we'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully the wind has calmed down. We get on some of this steel. I'd like to get the roof done because that's really where our strength is at this point. And we're just out here in the middle of nowhere. The wind does whip pretty bad. I don't think it's going anywhere, but just to be safe, I like to get the roof steel on. So stay tuned. We're going to be right back here tomorrow.